The original Destiny released in 2014 to a fairly lukewarm reception from critics and gamers alike due to its shallow story and some lacking RPG elements. Due to a host of different issues, developers Bungie made various changes to the game with subsequent expansion releases. Thanks to these expansions, Destiny became a much better place to be. Destiny 2 takes pretty much all of the best parts from its predecessor and delivers a much more enjoyable and more well-rounded experience. The game's story follows a silent protagonist, which is the player's guardian, as they rise up to defeat the Cabal Red Legion and its leader, Dominus Gaul. Gaul mounts an attack on Earth's last safe city and scatters citizens and guardians alike. Not only this, but Gaul manages to cut off the light, a special form of power used by guardians. This forces the player's guardian to retreat, regain power, regroup the vanguard, and then ultimately take the fight to Gaul. The execution of the story and the use of its characters has been handled incredibly well in Destiny 2. The narrative is adequately fleshed out and is also told very well. The execution of the story and the use of its characters has been handled incredibly well in Destiny 2. The narrative is adequately fleshed out and is also told really well. The situation faced by our protagonist is a dire one, a situation that definitely feels like a matter of life and death. This is definitely portrayed as such thanks to the strong cast of characters that help move the story along and support the overarching narrative. Additionally, Gaul feels like an antagonist that players can hate thanks to his assault on all that we've come to know from the first game. However, he still feels believable, and there are times throughout the campaign where you can somewhat understand his motives. In terms of gameplay, Destiny 2 is very much like the first game, but takes the best parts about it and makes them better. It delivers a solid first-person shooter experience with tight controls, varied gameplay, and action-packed firefights. One of the best changes is that missions in the campaign aren't as repetitive as before. They feature mechanics that vary from mission to mission, which keep things fresh from the first mission right up until the very last. Plus, just like the first game, you are able to play almost the entirety of the campaign with 2 other friends. This is something that is always highly recommended. If you're coming over from Destiny 1, you're able to transfer the appearance of your guardian to Destiny 2. If not, you are able to create a new likeness for your guardian, but be warned, the character creation tool is as limited as it was in the first game, which is a little disappointing as almost everything from the first game has been improved for the sequel. Players are still able to choose one of 3 classes, Warlock, Hunter, and Titan, with each class having access to 3 subclasses. The subclasses from the first game have made a return in Destiny 2 with the addition of 1 new per class. The Warlock's new subclass is the solar damage focused Dawnblade, the Hunter gets the arc damage focused Arcstrider, and the Titan gets the Sentinel subclass, which focuses on dealing void damage. Each class has different strengths and how you utilize them in combat is key. The subclasses are also less customizable in terms of which abilities you can make use of at a given time, due to them being locked in a tree. This means that there's less mixing and matching of upgrade nodes. This isn't necessarily a bad thing as it makes changing abilities on the fly quite easy and also makes for a less complicated time choosing an ability loadout. Not to mention that it makes choosing a little more friendly for newcomers. Destiny 2 also has so much more to do now after the campaign is concluded. Adventures are contained story missions that expand on the lore of an area in addition to rewarding you with XP and gear. Lost sectors are specific areas on the map that lead to a hidden cache of loot. Public events also make a return, but this time they've been greatly improved. These events are also trackable and also have a timer, which makes it much easier to find and join one. These events also have certain parameters, which when met triggers a difficulty spike and additional task, but can result in more rewarding loot being dropped by enemies. The usual activities such as patrols and strikes make a return too and can sometimes form part of your weekly milestones. Milestones are a new feature to the Destiny game and task you with completing specific tasks such as playing a few matches in the Crucible, completing a series of public events, and completing the week's Nightfall strike. This is a harder version of your standard strike with varying modifiers which add another layer to the challenge. Additionally, milestones are the best way to getting powerful loot, which in turn helps with leveling your character. Completing all of your milestones for the week is the best way to raise your Guardian's power level. Loot-wise, Destiny 2 is a lot more generous about drops. You can get close to the power cap much faster this time, which is a good thing and a bad thing. For the casual player, this means getting to access to some of the locked activities such as the Nightfall and Raid much sooner. However, hardcore players are most likely going to miss the loot grind, which can be a little disappointing as that grind kept hardcore players hooked. Shaders also make a return in the game so that you can change the color of your gear. However, this now also extends to weapons, sparrows, and ships, which is great. The only downside is that unlike the first Destiny, shaders count as a consumable, so there's a limited amount of times you can make use of them. Additionally, the color scheme seems to only be applied to one item at a time, so while you can change the color of more items and also mix them up a bit, it really is unfortunate that there is now a limit imposed on them. Each location also has its own NPC who acts as both a vendor and a quest giver for that area. Completing any public events, lost sectors or adventures will reward you with reputation tokens which can be turned into the relevant NPC for rewards. Then there's the Leviathan Raid, which is the endgame activity which possibly yields some of the best loot drops. The raid, as all raids that have come before it, is a challenging yet rewarding experience for 6 guardians to face, but only with teamwork will the fire team be able to topple the raid's puzzles and bosses. The reward? Raid themed loot, of course. Destiny 2's PvP mode, the Crucible, has also seen some changes, namely changes that make the game a lot more friendly to all players. For instance, assists now count as a kill even if you don't deliver the final blow to an opposing guardian. Additionally, you really aren't able to select a specific mode to play. The Crucible now has a selection of 2 lists, Quick Play and Competitive. Quick Play is your more casual option and cycles between a few match types, namely Clash, Control and Supremacy. Competitive is the more teamwork centric list and cycles between Countdown and Survival. Countdown sees one team attacking a bomb site by planting explosives while the opposition defends the site, defusing the planted bomb when necessary. Survival is a round-based affair with a team taking the most rounds emerging victorious. The only catch being that there are limited respawns per team, so playing strategically is a must. The latter 2 game modes also form the basis of the Trials of the Nine, a competitive PvP event that takes place every weekend from Friday to Monday. Some of the best Crucible players take part in the trials every weekend to gain access to a special social space and also powerful Trials of the Nine themed loot. Destiny 2 also places a big focus on clans compared to its predecessor. Players are able to join a clan which doesn't just give them identity, no, there's more. Players who join clans can also earn rewards from other clan members completing activities. So if you don't happen to get to the Crucible or Nightfall for a given week but your clan members do, you get to benefit from their hard work and vice versa. It's also much easier to find people to play with now since the clan roster is available in-game to show you who's online in Destiny at that moment, even if you don't have them on your friends list. Destiny 2 does make it a little clearer about which activities drop which rewards, which helps with giving you an idea of what you need to do in order to raise your power level. It still isn't completely clear about it. Additionally, knowing what the power level cap is for a certain activity is mostly discovered through trial and error. Graphically, Destiny 2 looks like a much more polished version of the first game. It looks great pretty much all of the time, and some of the vistas you'll encounter at all of the locations are beautiful. The character models have also seen a great improvement. They look more detailed and their texture is much smoother. And this isn't only true for the main characters either, even enemies that we've killed time and time again in the first game look much better this time. The audio is just as excellent as the game's visual prowess. The soundtrack sounds very much like it did in the first game, except that it seems to have some more flair. From the frenetic combat music to the softer tone music that plays during exploration, it just works so well. Then there's the voice acting, which is excellently done as well. This is especially true for Junior Torres, Nathan Fillion and Lance Reddick, who provide the voices for Ikora Ray, Cade 6 and Commander Zavala respectively. These 3 members that make up the Vanguard play a big role in the story and have really brought their A-game with their voice acting. Special mention goes to Gideon Emery, who plays the gentlemanly sniper Devrim K in Earth's ETZ and is always a pleasure to listen to. Destiny 2 is such a good game and it feels like a big step up from its predecessor. Yes, it feels very much like Destiny at its core, but all of the changes and improvements to both story and gameplay make it worthy of a sequel. There are some subtle grievances such as the shader limit, the lack of clarity with regards to leveling, and the lack of waypoint placement on the map, but these do not destroy the experience in the long run. The addition of guided games feature, which allows you to essentially use matchmaking with other clans in the Nightfall and Raid, means that even players who tend to play solo can find a fire team for those activities. It's also a great feature for newcomers. Destiny 2 is definitely one of the best first-person shooters on consoles and is a great sequel to the first game. It's sure to be welcoming back a host of Guardians in addition to bringing in a good number of newcomers as well. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on the game to see how it improves as it introduces new content during its life cycle. If you enjoyed this review, please hit that like button, and if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you want to be kept up to date with the channel, you can click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button to get email notifications every time I upload something. And if you got your hands on Destiny 2, let me know what you think of the game in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.